It's Wednesday. I hope you're well. I noticed that Facebook has changed its settings today, so it's all new and modern and different looking. I don't know if you've noticed that today, but you had to choose between a white border and a black border, so that was a huge decision I wasn't expecting to make when I was about to do my live. So I hope you're feeling well. It's a beautiful day where we are in North Queensland, and even though it's still August, I think sadly summer is arriving early, or spring as it may well be. So I thought I'd use some time today to give you a quick update on what happened at the weekend in Yungaburra, and to share with you where I'm at with the Wheel of Wellbeing challenge. So I had a brilliant weekend in Yungaburra, which is up in the Atherton Tablelands, and I don't think I'd ever been there before. I may have been there as a young person, but possibly, I don't really remember. But it's a beautiful old town with lots of lovely historic buildings, but it's very arty and very cultured and pristine, and they keep it very beautiful with hanging baskets of flowers, and it's very, very picturesque and lovely, and it's 5 degrees cooler up there in the hills. So it was a brilliant weekend, and the Yungaburra Book Fair, it was the 12th year that it's been going. I was told that this year wasn't as busy as last year, but that's kind of to be expected with people not travelling just as much. But in terms of an event for networking and meeting people and showcasing your work, it's a brilliant opportunity. And there was a section of the hall dedicated to second-hand booksellers, and a section of this hall dedicated to authors and new books. And so when we weren't obviously talking to clients or customers, we had the opportunity to kind of go around and talk to each other and to share our work and to, to chat. So I did manage to sell books, which was great. Both my Broken to Unbreakable book, and launched the Koala Who Lost His Heart, which was a wonderful opportunity to do that and to share it with new people. And but the great thing was that I had people either side of me and in front of me who were also authors and editors, and I met amazing people. So on one side of me I had this couple, Alan and Janet Murray, and they are record-breaking marathon runners. They've run 366 marathons around Australia. They've written 2 books, Raw Can Cure Cancer and Running Out of Time. So throughout the course of the whole day, I had a chance to chat with them a lot. We talked about our work. They had a chance to see and hear me, and I had a chance to see and hear them. And by the end of the day, we've actually agreed to collaborate on a project together at the end of October. So that was beautiful and really exciting, and I'm so glad to have made the connection with them. I'm sorry, I'm showing you my props, which I got from the weekend. The other great thing I realized is book is a good trading currency. So there was many times where I'd have an author say, oh, so we swap books, so I could give them a copy of my book and they could give me a copy of their book. So I had this beautiful lady on my right hand side, Viviana, and she is retired now, but this is her second book that she's written, Extraordinary Experiences. And it really kind of taps into the spiritual side of life, and I can't wait to get started on that. But also, phenomenally, I met this man who was sitting opposite me, and he wrote this book, Feast on Phytochemicals. Now, what's amazing is in some of my lives recently, I've been referencing phytochemicals and the way that they can help heal your body. So I'm really looking forward to starting to read this book, because it will hopefully teach me some new things about how to use food and good nutrition to support physical health as well as mental health, and to boost your immune system. So that's super exciting. And he is he started off doing land management and land research, and he's an expert in plants. So I'm really looking forward to reading books of fellow authors that I met in Yungaburra and collaborating. I also met a lovely lady called Anne Harth, who is a children's author and an editor. So we've agreed to, she's going to do some editing of my new children's book next week. So that's lovely. And she's based in Kuranda, which is where I'm going on my next road trip at the end of September, in a month's time. So I'm super excited to have made the connection in Kuranda with a children's editor, no least, so that she can introduce me to people locally in Kuranda region, and we can collaborate on some books together. And her books that she writes, she's an author as well, are about magic. So my daughter was super happy to be able to buy Anne's books and to take them to school this week for book week. So that was lovely and brilliant. So I realized in retrospect that books are a good trading currency, that you can have conversations with people about all different aspects, but also you can really start to form collaborations with people who complement what you do and what you're passionate about. So, you know, even just the journey to Yungaburra for those things alone was well worth it. You know, not to mention the fact that I was able to sell some of my books, and I dedicated a section of my table to other Townsville talented children's authors. So I had 4 other books that I was selling from Kerry Spina, Steve Coleman, Matt B. Lewis, and Margie O'Hara. And their books were hugely popular because they're beautifully well-written children's books that parents can relate to. So it was great to represent their work at Yungaburra. It was also great to have a chance to talk about, you know, what they do and how much talent there is here in Townsville for writing and illustrating, etc. So that was really wonderful. So this week, today actually is the start of my 2nd week of the Wheel of Wellbeing Challenge as part of my role as a champion for mentally healthy city Townsville. And I'm absolutely loving this challenge because it reinforces what I do know, reminds me of some good habits and rituals that I had started that may have been sometimes forgotten when you're busy, but it also is good for me to reinforce to myself the journey that I went on in writing my book, because week 2 is about mental well-being. And I touch on mental well-being in many different chapters or steps of my 12 steps, really, in step 1, step 2, definitely step 8, step 10 and 11. And really I infuse the concept of mental well-being throughout the book, Broken to Unbreakable, because, you know, realistically, if we don't have good mental well-being, our physical well-being suffers. And equally, if our physical well-being is suffering, our mental well-being is suffering. And what's interesting about mental well-being is I think there's probably a common misconception that you're either depressed or you're not depressed, and that's mental health. And that's completely incorrect, and that's a fallacy, because mental health is a spectrum, and on any given day you can be at either end of the spectrum, and equally you can be at the middle of the spectrum. So when I say spectrum, I'm thinking in terms of your mental well-being for that particular day. And there's lots of things that drive our mental well-being, and those things are, you know, good nutrition to fuel our brains, good sleeping habits, also what we're thinking about. Are we negative thinking? Are we ruminating? Are we stuck in trauma or in stories? Or equally, what are we learning? What are we fueling our mind with? What are we thinking about for the future? So those are some kind of common ways that have been really great for me to improve my mental well-being, because again, I had probably what's described as mild depression, but I was suffering with anxiety and living in a state of constant stress. And there's an amazing video attached to week 2 of the challenge, which is called Flow State. And I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of that now. Here is the chart. So it talks about flow state. And at the bottom here, we're in our apathetic mode. So we're kind of feeling a bit lazy, to be honest. And we are probably just looking at social media, watching TV, or not doing much to exercise our minds. And that's when we get into a state of apathy. Then we have the challenge on one side and skill on the other. So if we're using low levels of skills down on here, we're probably going to be quite bored because we're not challenging ourselves. Equally, if something is highly challenging, it's up here, we would probably suffer from a bit of stress and anxiety. And the sweet spot is in the middle. So this is our flow channel. So when we get into our flow channel, it's much easier to achieve things because we are somewhere between optimal level of skill and optimal level of challenge, and we're flowing much easier, and that's where we can reach a state of ecstasy. And I certainly know for myself that once I started to improve and to focus on my mental well-being and to get control of my thoughts and my feelings and my behaviors, that my book, for instance, was able to flow out of me. Work became a lot easier to manage because I wasn't living in a state of stress and anxiety, and I was able to kind of problem solve and speed up, but at the same time slow down and be more reflective. And there's a great quote from a Bob Proctor meditation that I like, which says, you'll be able to speed up and slow down at the same time. And I really like that. And there's a line from a song which I like, which says, worrying is like trying to solve an algebra equation while chewing bubblegum, meaning like you can't worry your way out of a problem, essentially. But what's interesting about that is I often found that when I have a big problem to solve, it comes to me in a moment of complete silence and clarity. So a lot of my, problem solving might be when I'm in the shower washing my head, and I'll be massaging my hair, and like a light bulb will come on, and a solution to a problem will come to me quite quickly. So that's really a way to say, there's no point worrying about a problem because you're not going to solve it. You're best to kind of not worry, and to be still and to be quiet and to be present, and solutions present themselves much easier. And I've certainly have found that in my own life in the last few months and indeed years. Because there's a podcast I was listening to the other day, which a lady on Oprah, Super Soul Sunday, and she was saying that she finds it very difficult to live in the present moment because several years ago 3 of her daughters were involved in a horrific accident, and there was a high level of trauma around that, and they were almost killed, but thankfully they survived and have gone on to lead healthy, happy lives and to study and to become mothers, etc. But the mother of those 3 girls is still living in that state of constant stress and high alert, where she can't appreciate the present because she's always worrying about something bad happening. And I too lived with that situation around my children. So now that I've managed to let go of that and to be more present, to appreciate the present moment, you have much more joy in the day-to-day living, because you're not worrying about something that may or may not happen in the future and catastrophizing situations in your head. So that is really important for mental well-being. So I really enjoyed going through the module on the Wheel of Wellbeing challenge for week 2. I'll post the link to this video which talks about flow state in the comments after, and you can watch it for yourself. But essentially the 4 things that contribute to overall mental well-being are around what we're thinking, what we're eating, our good sleeping habits, and learning new things. And for myself, in the past 12 months, I've had to learn so many new things. I've had to learn how to not really write a book, because that was just writing, which is what I enjoyed doing, but I didn't know how to publish a book, how to edit a book, how to proof a book, how to promote a book, how to set up a website and build a website and manage a website, to set up a digital shopping cart, digital product shopping cart, as well as a mainstream shopping cart. So there's so many new skills that I had to learn in order to become an author, which are now, I decided that I would do them. They were difficult, but I wanted to learn them. I wanted to learn new things, and continual learning is a good way to improve our mental well-being. So that's really important to remember. I talked about flow state. So one of the things I have found for myself is that I can get into flow state now when I'm exercising. So if I'm running, first of all, I will quieten my mind to enjoy the surroundings, but it's then if I want to choose a specific theme to think about, I will allow those thoughts to flow, and by the end of the run I might have created an article, I might have written a poem, I might have written some quotes, or I might have come up with some concepts for some training or support, etc. So I find running now and think it allows me to go into flow state where I can create quite easily. So that's really a cool way of getting into flow state for yourself, because if you're trying to sit at the computer with your fingers there, nothing's coming out and it gets stressful. But if you can go for a run, get the oxygen pumping and the blood pumping through your brain, you can find you go into flow state a lot quicker. So this week, as part of my continual learning, I'm starting a mindfulness educators course, which I bought during lockdown. It was one of those specials that you can buy, and I then got too busy to start it. So I have committed myself this week to starting my mindfulness educators program. I think it's about 12 weeks. I just need to go in and refresh my mind on everything that is involved in the program. But that will be nice to learn and share some new aspects of mindfulness from an educator's point of view as well. And well, what else? Well, that's a lot actually. But this weekend, Saturday, I'm headed down to the Burdekin, to Ayr and Home Hill. I've had a lot of support from the Burdekin region, so I'm keen to go back. I have a book signing at Woods News at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, and at 12:30 I am collaborating with the lovely Joanne from Curves Fitness in Ayr. That's a women's only fitness centre, and I'll be delivering my 4-hour reset workshop. So thanks to Joanne and Curves Fitness for partnering with me on that program. Thank you to Woods News for inviting me to have a book signing, and thank you to the beautiful Charlie at Sweet FM in Home Hill, Burdekin, for inviting me to do a radio interview on Saturday afternoon. And I'm certain that we'll be talking about my new book, The Koala Who Lost His Heart, and all of the big plans that we have around that this year and next year. So thanks for watching today. I hope you've had a brilliant week so far, and a great week to come, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.